Hello, and welcome back. This is still Uncharted Lost Legacy, and what you'll probably be watching is me falling to my death. But no, on a serious level, this is the final look at cultural appropriation. And this time, the main goal is to define cultural appropriation. I've already talked briefly about the loose definitions and so on, so let's move on. Now, the first point is I'm going to explain my initial encounter with cultural appropriation. Ooh, that scared me. And that was a few weeks ago, the complaints that occurred surrounding Halloween in regards to children's costumes. And specifically, it was felt that children should not basically yeah, I can't speak. I'm not a big fan of climbing that high. I've had some experience falling from certain heights, so I get nervous even in video games about climbing. If you watch a previous video, you'll see me fall because I went the wrong way. Regardless, there was a lot of issues that came out recently concerning what children wear for Halloween. And specifically, it's the costume of the character Moana from Disney cartoons. And they felt that young ladies, little girls of European descent, should not, or I should say white of European descent, should not dress up as Moana, because that would be appropriating the culture. So, first off, one of the interesting things about children is that when they make the choice, when they themselves make the choice to dress up as someone, then it's they completely and totally relate to that person or the culture that that person begins with, so regardless of their own culture. So little girl wants to dress up as Moana, she very much relates to Moana.
How do we get over this thing?
And it's probably one of the most purest forms of respect.
Okay. Easy does it.
When a child makes that choice, chooses to dress up like that. Wah, 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 wah! And you've seen me fall to my death. Okay, seriously, I should have been able to throw that rope out in. It just didn't work. We're gonna try this again. So, it's actually kind of weird for me to, to say that, this is not being respectful towards the culture. It's one of the most respectful things out there, at least from my point of view. And it seems to me, this is a case I've seen having worked with children. I've seen this before where adults apply adult ideas and concepts to children, when in fact, the child feels and acts completely different. So that was my initial reaction and or encounter with cultural appropriation. And
catapult like a normal person?
it's made me look at it and wonder about the actual definition. How do you look at something and say this is cultural appropriation or this is not cultural appropriation? And I've come across only two possible definitions. One of them is that it's almost purely racially motivated. Some awesome carvings, I'm just saying. That's really cool. That it's purely a racial thing. So, to go back to the Moana example, to say what I mean, it's people who are essentially white of European descent are not allowed to dress up as any other culture. Whereas someone who is well, yeah, let's say someone who's of African descent, a little girl of African descent, wanted to dress up as, say, Snow White, she would be praised and she wouldn't be told that's inappropriate. At least that's, on the surface, that's how it appears to be.
Hey, look.
Now, I'm completely and totally against this. I don't think skin color should really matter that much. I don't think ancestry should matter that much. I mean, we're all human. We're all people. Some of us have good past, some of us have bad past, but, you know, that's life. You know. And one of the things that I heard a while ago about our past is that if you go far enough back in anybody's history, you'll find two things. One, that one of your ancestors was horribly, horribly discriminated against. And two, one of your ancestors horribly, horribly discriminated against somebody else. That's true of pretty much everybody. Everybody's ancestry contains those elements in them. And, you know, we can't get away from that, so, you know, we might as well get along regardless of our past and feelings. And if, you know, this cultural appropriation is a purely racial thing, and I'm not saying all claims of cultural appropriation is, just in the situations where it is a purely racial thing, I completely and totally disagree with it, and I don't think it should be taken seriously if it's just solely racially based, regardless of whatever race they are referring to in this regard.
Hopefully closer than these guys.
So that's one definition. That's my feelings on it. The second one was actually an interesting definition in and of itself. And it raises some questions by itself.
What is all this?
If I had it, I'm actually going to stop here because the shadow puzzle I've shown it before and it'll take a while to get through. So I'll move on to the second definition. So like and subscribe if you've liked this. And yeah, I will see you in the next video, which will pretty much start after I do the shadow puzzle. I really need to figure out how to fast forward through items. I really do. Anyway, I'll see you then. Bye.